the answer has expired. Senator McCarthy.
Mr President, my question is to the Minister for Indigenous Affairs, Senator Scullion. I refer to reports today that the minister has granted $1.4 million from the Indigenous Advancement Strategy and Aboriginal Benefits Account funding to a Katherine-based non-Indigenous company, North Australian Rural Management Consultants, which has close links to the Country Liberal Party. How many Indigenous people have been employed and how many Indigenous businesses have been assisted by the $1.4 million grant to North Australian Rural Management Consultants?
The Minister for Indigenous Affairs, Senator Scullion.
Well, thank you very much, Mr President, and thank you very much for your interest in this area, Senator. Can I say, Mr President, I stand by every dollar and every cent of the IAS funding that I have approved, and every IAS grant has been made in accordance with IAS guidelines. The Indigenous organisations that deliver outcomes, I'm actively transitioning IAS funds to them, and the number is significantly increasing. So in terms, when I got the portfolio, 35% of the IAS was given to Indigenous organisations. It's now 55%. So we're doing pretty well over that period of time, some remarkable outcomes. But from time to time, there is a capacity for organisations like the Red Cross. I give $2 million and they deliver to Indigenous service, to Indigenous people. Catholic Care, $18 million, they deliver to youth and unemployed. World Vision, we give $1.1 million because they're delivering early childhood. So if you're suggesting that we cut all these funds, really, I'm not sure whether that's what they're suggesting. But so can I say, Mr. President, in a clear understanding of what NAMCO do, they're an organisation that do back-of-house accounting and business advice to Indigenous companies. And most of them say, yes, I can do the work, but we're struggling, we're not quite big enough to have in-house. So we have business advisor service that provides the accounting services, the advocacy services within an Indigenous business. And in all reports that come to me that they do a good job. This contract was provided would have been over 3 years ago, and they do a remarkable job. Now, an allegation that somehow there's connection to make whatever this inappropriate process is, I do note that I specifically asked, and the reason I'm aware of NAMCO is because I became aware of an issue and I asked them for a show cause to show how they were going to manage the possible perception of some interaction.
Senator McCarthy, a supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr President. Reports today revealed the minister has asked North Australian Rural Management Consultants to show cause about any perceived conflict of interest. What conflicts of interest is the minister concerned about? Has the minister also asked North Australian Rural Management Consultants to address any conflict of interest, given the close links to the Country Liberal Party?
Senator Scullion.
I was informed. I knew there's a man called Ron Kelly became the president of the Country Liberal Party. I was informed that the process was he actually works for NAMCO and had been for some time before that event. That is a perceived conflict, so we've written to the company, because this is the process how you deal with conflicts, perceived or otherwise, and asked them, how are you going to manage the perception or that conflict? This is a process that is followed throughout these sort of circumstances, and I have been at lengths to ensure that those processes are followed to the letter. We have followed those processes to the letter. The department has provided some advice about how these matters are dealt with, and I've dealt with that in exactly that way, Mr. President.
Senator McCarthy, a final supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr President. Given only 3 of 7 Closing the Gap targets are on track and Indigenous Australians live on average 10 years less than non-Indigenous Australians, how does giving nearly $2 million to non-Indigenous companies and organisations achieve the stated aims of the Indigenous Advancement Strategy?
Senator Scullion.
Well, what it does, Senator, it assists the Indigenous companies creating the outcomes of 10% of the 412,000 jobs we created last year. 3% of the population created 10% of those jobs. They did it because we have organisations assisting them with areas that they don't have the capacity in, so they can get the contracts. That's right, government contracts that went from $6.2 million under your governance and over $1 billion under ours. 32 businesses under yours, over 1,000 on ours. That's why we're doing so well. But they have told us we need help in some areas. So, on the basis of advice to those companies, we don't thrust them. They say, can I have some support from these organisations, and we provide that support. Now, those organisations that provide the support are essential in building capacity so that these Aboriginal organisations, this one in particular, can access the economy.